January 2nd is not random. It is not just another day after the calendar flips. It is a moment where momentum quietly begins to move. Most people believe the new year starts on January 1st, but energetically that day is often symbolic rather than functional. January 2nd is where activation begins. It is the day your patterns either continue or change. By the time most people reach adulthood, they have already established deep vibrational habits. These habits were formed by observing their environment, reacting to life, and repeating emotional responses over time. By the teenage years, and certainly by early adulthood, those patterns become familiar and automatic. Life then appears to repeat itself, not because change is impossible, but because the same inner frequency keeps being offered. What is important to understand at the start of a new year is that patterns are not permanent. They are practiced. And anything that has been practiced can be changed. Not someday, not gradually over years, but now, today, this moment. Life will never stop showing you contrast. You will continue to notice what you like and what you do not like. You will continue to identify desires simply by living. That process never ends. Because of that, your frequency is always evolving. A new standard is constantly being set by the life you are living. And if you do not keep up with that standard emotionally, imbalance begins to appear. Before you came into this physical body, you existed as source energy. Some call it source, some call it God, some call it soul. You were consciousness before form. Even now, you are still more non-physical energy than physical matter. Your personality, your thoughts, your emotions are vibrational first. This means you are always operating from two perspectives. One is the source perspective, which is always rooted in worthiness, clarity, and well-being. The other is the human perspective, shaped by reaction, habit, and interpretation. The emotions you feel are not random. They are the feedback created by the relationship between these two perspectives. When your thoughts align with the perspective of source, you feel light, eager, hopeful, and alive. Alignment feels like enthusiasm, curiosity, appreciation, and openness. It feels like a fresh willingness to engage with life. That feeling is not something you create, it's something you allow. When your thoughts oppose the perspective of source, you feel tension. Guilt, frustration, overwhelm, sadness, anger, and self-judgment are signals of vibrational distance. They are not punishments, they are indicators. They simply tell you that you are holding a perspective that the larger part of you does not share. This is why nothing in your experience is random. You are the attractor of what you live. But what many people do not realize is that attraction does not respond to words. It responds to frequency. You can say that you want something while emotionally reinforcing the absence of it. When that happens, you remain aligned with lack rather than fulfillment. A new year does not demand action. It invites awareness. January 2nd is powerful because it reveals what you are still rehearsing internally. Not what you hope for, not what you promise, but what you consistently think, feel, and expect. Every time you encounter contrast, you send a signal. You do not have to speak it, you radiate it. That signal becomes a new vibrational standard held by the source within you. Source instantly becomes the version of you that has expanded beyond the experience you've just had. The question is not whether source expands. It always does. The question is whether you follow. Many people ask for change and then continue to justify why change has not happened yet. They speak about what they want while emotionally anchoring themselves to what they do not want. This creates resistance. Resistance is simply the gap between who you have become vibrationally and what you are allowing yourself to experience. This is why alignment feels like balance. This is why people say they want to feel centered or connected. They are describing the desire to close the gap between the human perspective and the source perspective. Well-being is always available. It is always flowing. Imagine it like rain falling constantly. When resistance is present, it is like holding an umbrella overhead. Nothing has gone wrong, but nothing can reach you either. The art of allowing is learning how to put the umbrella down. You do not do this by forcing positivity. You do it by choosing thoughts that feel slightly better than where you are now. You do it by noticing emotional cues earlier, rather than waiting for manifestation to shout. If emotional discomfort is ignored, it grows. If it is repeatedly ignored, it becomes physical experience. It is much easier to shift frequency at the emotional level than after circumstances have solidified. You are a manifestational being. Manifestation never stops. You cannot pause creation, but you can influence its direction. You can soften resistance. You can allow momentum to change. January 2nd is not about fixing your life. It is about choosing which frequency you will practice next. It is about understanding that every thought you return to is either closing the gap or widening it. Everything that exists began as vibration. Thought becomes momentum. Momentum becomes form. When thought is held without resistance, it becomes reality. This new year is not asking you to become someone new. It is asking you to stop resisting who you already are becoming. The source within you is already holding the expanded version of you. Your only work is to move emotionally toward it, thought by thought, moment by moment. That is how activation begins. That is why January 2nd matters.